The Marvel Multiverse is made up of many alternate realities, but the darkest one may be that of the Marvel Zombies. This twisted reality saw our favorite heroes infected with an all-consuming hunger that ravaged their world. So join me, Rambling Rob, as we take a look at the story of Marvel Zombies. Ash Williams is teleported to Earth 2149 of the Marvel Universe after a ritual performed by his enemies. Ash lands in a dumpster and wanders upon a fight between Daredevil and Thunderball. Before he can figure out which one to help, a Deadite, which is a Kandarian demon connected to an ancient evil book called the Necronomicon, warns Ash that this world will die and an army of the dead shall rise. Ash punches the possessed woman and proceeds to dismember her with his chainsaw. Daredevil spots him and stops Ash, leaving him open to an attack from Thunderball. Ash needs to find a way home and after reading the Daily Bugle, goes to Earth's mightiest heroes for help. He warns the Avengers about what the Deadite told him, but they dismiss what Ash is telling him and the Scarlet Witch teleports him away. Jarvis then alerts the team to a situation happening in Midtown. A zombified sentry was sent to Earth 2149 by the Watcher to create a time loop that would stop the zombie plague spreading beyond his home universe and this universe. The Avengers head to Midtown to investigate and see Ash shouting warnings to the civilians running from the disturbance. After they land, Colonel America asks Spider-Man to take Ash away. While being carried away, Ash warns Spidey about the Deadites and about a figure who smacked him out of the afterlife, a being that looked like the Sentry. The Sentry infects this world's Avengers with the zombie virus within minutes. Spider-Man decides to head back to the Avengers and saves a civilian from becoming their next meal. Spidey and Ash didn't notice that Colonel America was tailing them, and after dropping the woman off, Spider-Man is bitten by the Colonel. He drops Ash, who lands in front of zombie Luke Cage, Miss Marvel, and Hawkeye. Spidey tries to save Ash by threatening to eat Hawkeye's brains. The other zombies advise against doing that as they taste terrible to each other. Spider-Man lays claim to Ash, and while they bicker about it, Ash tries to crawl to safety but is stopped by Luke Cage. Colonel America lets Spider-Man have Ash because he's got more important things to attend to. They leave and head to a high-rise rooftop. Ash attacks Peter believing he's turned, but Parker shows him that he's still human. He says his healing factor is working overtime to stave off the effects of Colonel America's bite. Down on the ground, it's a feeding frenzy. Peter then remembers Aunt May and Mary Jane and heads off to check on them. Turns out Ash and Peter weren't alone on that roof, and the Punisher emerges from the shadows. After complimenting Ash's chainsaw, Frank heads for the stairwell. Ash follows and tells him he's had experience with these Deadites. The two agree to help each other out. Ash will help Frank on his mission, and the Punisher will help Ash find the Necronomicon, which he believes will reverse all this. Turns out Kingpin, Hammerhead, and the Owl have been hiding out in this building. They try to strike a deal with Frank, but he does what he always does and riddles them with bullets. Ash and Frank reach the lobby of Fisk Tower and see how bad things have gotten outside. Frank rifles up and heads out, firing at anything that moves, but it's not long until he's overrun. When Spidey arrives home and sees MJ and Aunt May are safe, it doesn't take long for the hunger to take over. Spider-Man makes a meal out of Mary Jane before warning Aunt May to lock herself in the bathroom. Nova, who has no idea what's going on, shows up at Spidey's to check in on him and his family, only to find him picking at the remains of MJ and Aunt May. Spider-Man attacks Nova, but before he can take a chunk out of him, Daredevil stops him and orders Nova to help him kill Spider-Man. Nova hesitates and Spider-Man bites Daredevil. Colonel America has regained some self-control after satisfying his hunger, and tells the other zombified heroes to get a grip and follow him to Avengers Mansion so they can figure all this out. Aboard Asteroid M, Magneto is dealing with the guilt of what he feels he helped unleash on Earth and heads there to protect it. Magneto arrives at the Xavier Institute while the X-Men are fighting zombie Alpha Flight. He kills the X-Men's former allies and explains there is no time for mercy, and he needs help doing what needs to be done. Back in New York City, Giant Man and the Black Panther are on their way to Hank's lab to work on a cure. T'Challa notices Pym has been bitten, so Hank goes giant and knocks out T'Challa before dragging him to his lab to keep him as an emergency food source. The city is in chaos, with very few uninfected heroes remaining. Ash is running through the streets with what remains of the Punisher's weapons. He comes across a zombie Winter Soldier trying to eat Dazzler and manages to make the save. After a very Ash introduction, Dazzler finds out just how bad things are. Ash consoles her, and when he says this world, Dazzler asks him to explain. So Ash tells her about the Necronomicon, and she thinks she knows where they can get help with finding it. The Fantastic Four destroy zombie She-Hulk after finding their children devoured by her. Moments after exploding Jen's head, they get a call from Nick Fury, asking them to join him aboard the helicarrier. Nova and Thor are trying to survive an attack from the zombie thunderbolts when they are saved by the Fantastic Four on their way to the helicarrier. Nick Fury explains the situation to the assembled heroes and says while it's too late to contain the virus, they may be able to stop it or maybe even reverse it. His plan is to have Iron Man, Reed Richards and Bruce Banner work on developing a cure, while the rest of the heroes try to rescue as many survivors as they can and bring them back to the helicarrier. While the heroes try to save who they can, Fury asks Dr. Doom for help, but his request is denied. The search and rescue portion isn't going as planned and the heroes, after losing some of their own, retreat back to the helicarrier. Tony tells Nick a cure may not be feasible, as the damage already done to the planet is too much to recover from, and suggests escape from this dimension might be the better alternative. He's already begun work on a teleporter and should have it operational within a few hours. Meanwhile, Reed has lost his mind and views the zombies as the next step in evolution. The rest of the FF can't believe what they're hearing before he reveals he's already infected them with the virus. After they in turn infect Reed. The zombie four burst into Tony's lab. Reed orders them not to devour him but to infect him. Fury tries to move the teleporter to safety and tries to lock down the helicarrier. He and the last remaining uninfected heroes are now trapped in a room with the teleporter, with the zombie four trying to rip their way in. They know they're doomed, so they make sure the plague can't spread to other dimensions and destroy the teleporter. The heroes only last a matter of minutes once the zombie four get into the room. Reed tells them to bring what remains of the teleporter to the Baxter building, so they're prepared when they run out of food. Dazzler has led them to Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, and explains that if anyone would know about the book, Strange would. As she's explaining this, someone grabs Ash from the bushes. Dazzler turns around asking if Ash heard her, only to find he's run afoul of zombie Howard the Duck. Turns out the Ash who got ducked up was this universe's Ash, and not Dazzler's traveling companion. Regular Ash was pulled into the bushes by the Scarlet Witch. Dazzler is saved from Howard by Ash and Wanda. Wanda explains how so many heroes got infected. Colonel America sent out an SOS to all Avengers members, and Quicksilver spread the plague worldwide after being bitten by Mystique, who was pretending to be Wanda in need of saving. She grabbed Ash because she remembered him mentioning that the Necronomicon could stop all this. Zombie Thor shows up, so the trio burst into Strange's home, only to find Wong being fed on by Dr. Druid. Ash tells Druid that he can cure him with a book, but he needs to get it from Strange's library. After Druid points him in the right direction, Ash blows his head off. Once they reach the library, Ash interrogates two books to find out where this universe's Necronomicon is. The first refuses to help and is tossed into the fireplace. So the second agrees to tell Ash what he wants to know. The book is in Latveria, the home of Dr. Doom. Wanda says that they can use the Quinjet she used to escape to get to Latveria, but they have to get past a zombified power pack. When it seems like they're done for, Next Wave makes the save, but they end up falling victim to the zombie kids themselves. When Dazzler, Ash and Wanda arrive at Latveria, they find it under attack by Goliath. It doesn't take Ash long to wear out his welcome, and Doom tells Wanda that if Ash does not address him correctly and doesn't stop referring to him with such names as Tin Man or 3PO, he will remove his head from his body. Doom reveals that this plague is extraterrestrial in origin and not supernatural. The Necronomicon had nothing to do with it and is refusing to allow them access to his copy of the book. He orders his servobots to lock Ash up, but naturally Ash fights back. Doom attempts to intimidate Ash by showing him how easily he can defeat Goliath. Afterwards, he orders Ash to be taken to the other survivors, and this time his servobots succeed. Doom rounded up as many survivors as he could, but in a very Doom move, only ones of breeding age. Wanda goes to free Ash because she still believes the Necronomicon can reverse all this. They take out a Doombot, and Ash gets the fantastic idea of wearing its armor to gain access to Doom's library. He finds the Necronomicon and it tells Ash that Doom was right. While these creatures are dead, they are not undead. This has nothing to do with the Deadites. When Ash asks why it delivered him that message, it says it was done out of spite. Ash walks away in disbelief while the Necronomicon laughs. He finds the Enchantress imprisoned and sets her free. They encounter Dazzler and Scarlet Witch, who are shocked at what Ash has done. Enchantress wasn't imprisoned because she was simply a threat to Doom, it was because she's infected. She uses her powers to lure Ash in, but Dazzler intervenes and she's the one who ends up getting bitten. Doom shows up and vaporizes Dazzler and Enchantress's brains. While Doom, Ash and Wanda argue, one of Doom's subjects shows up and advises him that the Marvel zombies have gathered in mass outside the castle. Colonel America orders the Horde to attack, and they breach the castle walls in no time. Doom, much to his frustration, is restrained by zombie Mr. Fantastic. Ash turns to Wanda to try and sneak away, only to find she has fallen victim to zombie Punisher. She begs Ash to use the Necronomicon to stop all this. Ash doesn't think it's going to do anything, but then he gets an idea and goes to get the book. He convinces the Necronomicon that once the Marvel zombies are done chowing down on Ash, they'll eat him next, since he's a book written in human blood and bound in human flesh. With the book on his side, Ash uses it to raise an army of the dead, as per the Deadeye prophecy from earlier, to hold off the Marvel zombies while he tries to get the survivors to safety. The Necronomicon tells Ash he can get home via Doom's teleporter. Doom, who is fighting off the infection by sheer willpower, is herding the survivors through his portal to safety when Ash arrives. Doom agrees to send Ash home, as it was his diversion that allowed Doom to fight off the zombies that were attacking him. He tells Ash the zombies cannot follow him, as the portal randomly resets every 5 seconds, plus he's going to destroy the apparatus once Ash enters it. As he jumps into the portal, Ash throws the Necronomicon on the ground, leaving it to the mercy of the Marvel zombies. Sadly, try as he might, Ash doesn't make it home, and the portal eventually fizzles out in the world of Marvel werewolves. Back on Zombie World, Doom destroys the portal and is then attacked by Wolverine, Thing, and Hulk. Wolverine tells the Necronomicon that they're not going to eat him, but they do still need toilet paper. Reed is developing his own machine that will allow them to travel to other dimensions, essentially providing them with an endless food supply. Wasp and Hank Pym infiltrate the Baxter building and find Reed's machine. They then recruit Wolverine and Iron Man to join them on their first multiversal meal. They ended up visiting the Marvel Apes dimension and infected one of the Prime 8, Iron Mandrill, which caused everything to go bananas. When Reed and the other zombies journeyed to that universe, they quickly found out that the inhabitants weren't going to be the easy meal that they thought they would be. Reed ends up being torn apart by the Marvel Apes and sets off to fix this whole mess and get his body back. He works with a ragtag group to create a machine that will reset the dimensional clocks of the Marvel zombies, Earth 616 due to the Red Ghost and Gibbon being in the Ape universe, and the Marvel Apes universe, to go back before the 3 universes met, giving Reed his body back and saving the Marvel Apes from this curse. Undeterred by the Marvel Ape fiasco, Zombie Reed has been reaching out to variants of himself across realities. He makes contact with a young variant of himself from the original Ultimate Universe. Zombie Reed has been working with the youngster to create an interdimensional transporter while getting as much information from young Reed about his universe as he can. They complete the machine and young Reed uses it to teleport to his older counterpart's universe, completely unaware of the horror that awaits him. It doesn't take him long to realize something isn't right before being greeted by the zombie Fantastic Four. Zombie Reed explains how his universe came to be this way. For a genius, young Reed seems a bit slow on the uptake and doesn't understand why he was brought here. He's told they ran out of food as Zombie Reed tries to capture him. The youngster manages to escape through a manhole cover. Zombie Thing rips up the ground and sends Zombie Human Torch into the sewers to find young Reed. Reed manages to evade Torch and escapes to the surface. He makes his way to Times Square and runs into a horde of zombified heroes. As the group closes in on their snack, something explodes from one of the buildings. Zombie Hulk bursts through the horde and claims Reed for himself, but before he can take a bite, he's crushed by a gas truck. The rest of the zombies panic and scramble as cars rain down from the sky. Magneto saves young Reed and takes him to safety. Magneto brings Reed to his hideout and explains that he was the only uninfected superhuman left until Reed arrived. Along with Magneto, a handful of humans remain. Reed explains that he isn't a relative of this universe's Richards. He's from another dimension. Reed then realizes that he has given the zombies a way to reach his universe. Back in his home reality, the rest of the Fantastic Four go to find Reed in his lab and come across the teleporter. Not long afterwards, the teleporter begins to glow and the zombie Fantastic Four step through. The young four don't have time to even process what they're seeing before the zombie four attack. Young Sue throws up a force field to protect herself, Ben, and Johnny from their undead counterparts. Zombie Sue throws some shade at her younger self and forces her out of the room door. Zombie Reed forces his way through the doors and tries to bite Ben and Johnny. He nearly succeeds until Sue uses her powers to render him brain damaged. Sue instructs the soldiers stationed at the Baxter building to contain the zombie four. Meanwhile, in the zombies' home dimension, Wolverine is tracking young Reed's scent, who happens to be scouting ways out of the city. Unfortunately, this leads the zombies right to the survivors' hideout. Magneto does his best to buy them some time to escape, but there's too many zombies. Zombie Giant Man calls dibs on the female survivors, but suddenly starts screaming about his eyes, as all the zombies seem to have gone blind. Young Sue is the culprit behind the blindings. Young Reed's team have come to rescue him. Sue orders Johnny to burn them a path to the Baxter building. As they make their way to safety, Zombie Hulk shows up. Ben tells Magneto to step aside and takes down the zombified Hulk with ease. They reach the Baxter building and use a combination of Johnny and Sue's powers to get to the teleporter. The zombies are hot on their tail. They all get on the teleporter, but Magneto stays behind to destroy the machine to stop the zombies from following them. After saying goodbye, Magneto destroys the machine, which sets off a massive explosion. Magneto is now trapped with the Marvel zombies, but has also trapped them in their home dimension. The zombies try to sell him on joining them, but Magneto takes his last stand. He hurls as much debris as he can at the Horde and tries to make a break for it. Colonel America grabs his leg, but Magnus uses the Colonel's own shield against him. Magneto takes the shield and actually manages to get away to catch his breath. He receives a call from survivors who have made it aboard Asteroid M. They offer to send a shuttle down for him, but he refuses, saying he'll find his own way up. While heading for the sewers, he's spotted by Hawkeye, who is beheaded with Colonel America's shield, but not before Magneto gets stuck with an arrow. The Colonel retrieves his shield and the zombies close in for the kill. Magneto tries to fight them off again, but is bitten by Wasp. With Magneto being the last source of food on Earth, the zombies turn on each other over who can claim the meal. Magneto is ripped to pieces and devoured in the skirmish. With their hunger satisfied for now, the zombies have clearer heads and try to figure out what they actually are, what the virus has done to their bodies, whether they can die, and how to solve their food problem. Since he's of sound mind for the moment, Peter starts to comprehend what he did to his aunt and Mary Jane. Luke Cage notices something in the sky and tells the rest of the zombies to look up. The Silver Surfer has come to Earth, and the zombies have found their next meal. The Surfer disappears as quickly as he appeared. Angel offers to find the Surfer, but Giant Man shoots down that idea. Wolverine asks the Colonel what they should do. He thinks they're better off trying to find some pockets of civilians they might have missed, because no one other than Hulk would have been fast and strong enough to catch the Surfer. Giant Man agrees with the Colonel's plan and heads off to find Janet. He tells the rest of the group to head back to the others and tell them that Magneto was vaporized in a gas line explosion. When Hank gets back to his lab, we see what became of the Black Panther. Pym has been keeping T'Challa sedated and on ice, so he can remove pieces of his body to help him through his bouts of ravenous hunger. Wasp found her way into Hank's lab and demands he explain why he's kept this secret from her. Hank explains that she and the others lack the self-restraint to keep a food source like this. Janet threatens to tell the others, so Hank bites her head off. Colonel America's group joins the rest of the Horde in Times Square. They tell their lie about what happened to Magneto. Iron Man asks Peter about Mary Jane and Aunt May, to which Spider-Man reacts emotionally. That, along with the fact Bruce Banner is there and not Hulk, lets Tony know they're lying. Colonel America and Iron Man discuss their options. With the food supply being slim to none, it's only a matter of time before they all try to eat each other. Eventually, Iron Man thinks that a small group of them search the Midwest for anyone they missed. Daredevil suggests they use a Quinjet, so people think they're being rescued. Meanwhile, the Surfer has surveyed the death-ravaged world of the Marvel zombies and arrives in Times Square to announce that the zombies' world has been chosen to become sustenance for his master, Galactus. The Marvel zombies have no idea what that means, and lunge for the Surfer. The Silver Surfer runs through the Marvel zombies with rays of power cosmic. Iron Man gets blasted in half, but still tries to take a bite out of the Surfer before being knocked off his board. It looks like the Surfer has everything under control, but Thor smashes Mjolnir on his face, which sends Norrinrad crashing to the ground below. The zombies close in on the Surfer, with Colonel America offering double rations to whoever gets the kill. Wolverine takes a slash at the Surfer, but his skin comes loose from his adamantium skeleton. Since he's dead, his ligaments have decayed, causing the adamantium to come apart. Iron Man asks Wolvie to toss him back in the fight, while Giant Man, who finally left his lab, decides not to join the fight, but to see how it plays out. The hunger takes over Banner again, causing him to transform into the Hulk. A few of the zombies have managed to grab a hold of the Silver Surfer, but Hulk takes him for himself. Surfer blasts the Hulk in the face and tries to make an escape, but Hulk catches him again. Hulk bites the Surfer's head clean off and falls over. The rest of the zombies head for Surfer's decapitated body, with Spider-Man and Iron Man getting a hand from Giant Man. He clears the other zombies out of the way and picks up the Surfer's body, while Luke Cage, Wolverine, and Colonel America were feeding on it. Most of the zombies chase after Giant Man, but a few notice energy coming from the Hulk's mouth. Hercules peers inside and sees Hulk hasn't swallowed the Surfer's head and asks for help getting it out. Hulk comes to and crushes Hercules' head before heading after Giant Man. By the time Hulk catches up, Colonel America, Giant Man, Luke Cage, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Wolverine have devoured the Surfer completely. The 7 of them, now imbued with the power cosmic, try cooking some of the other zombies to see if that makes them edible, but it doesn't. Just as they're about to start figuring out where their next meal is coming from, Galactus arrives and demands to know where his servant is. Giant Man tells Galactus that they ate him, and they're still hungry. Galactus knows a thing or two about all-consuming hunger. The group try to use their power cosmic to bring the planet Devourer down, despite the protest of Spidey and Luke Cage, who think they're outmatched. Galactus vaporizes Luke's arm, and the zombies decide to make a tactical retreat. Giant Man leads them to his lab to devise a way to claim Galactus as their next meal. They ask him about Janet's body, and he's about to show them what he's been doing with T'Challa, but his body is gone. Since Hank wasn't there to keep Black Panther sedated, he managed to escape the lab. He took Janet's head with him for reasons and begs her to stop asking him to allow her to feed on him. He tells Janet to stop this madness. She can't be hungry, she doesn't have a stomach. It's all in her head. Magneto's acolytes, led by Fabian Cortez, ask where their leader is and are shocked to see that T'Challa is a human. The acolytes think that this is a trick and are ready to kill T'Challa, but Cortez orders them to stand down. One of them, Burns, ignores Cortez and goes to attack. T'Challa launches Janet at his neck, which causes more acolytes to attack. Despite missing most of a leg and an arm, the Black Panther is more than able to defend himself. Fabian orders everyone to stand down. He says T'Challa was just defending himself, and Burns disobeyed a direct order and agrees to bring him back to Asteroid M. Black Panther demands they bring Janet's head as well, which will not be a threat under his supervision. Back at Giant Man's lab, Iron Man, Banner, and Hank have been gathering supplies to create a machine that will bring down Galactus. With their newly acquired power cosmic, they can travel faster than a Quinjet, which made getting the vibranium they needed no problem at all. Tony, Bruce, and Hank have been re-eating pieces of the Surfer from Banner's stomach to stave off the hunger and allow them to create this machine. With the last morsels now dissolved, they have to move fast to assemble the weapon and get to Times Square before they lose control again. Above Asteroid M, Janet is given to a scientist called Reynolds, who believes he can use her to develop a cure, and T'Challa meets Forge, who tells him he can set him up with some prosthetic limbs. When the cosmic zombies get to Times Square, Galactus is fighting off a wave of zombified villains. They power on their machine and take their shot. Galactus is still standing after the first shot, but the second one brings him down, causing the Marvel zombies on the ground to scramble. The villains race to claim the giant body of Galactus as their prize, but Giant Man's team are calling dibs. Mole Man says they'll have to fight for him, to which they happily oblige. The two groups go to war, igniting some bitter rivalries in the process. Spider-Man takes Venom out once and for all, while Wolverine faces off against Juggernaut. Logan rams his fist into Juggernaut's mouth and uses his power cosmic to vaporize Marco's head. Wolverine then sets his sight on Sabretooth, while Colonel America battles the Red Skull. The Colonel takes off one of the Skull's arms with his shield, but Skull uses his other hand to pull out the rest of his archenemy's exposed brain, killing the Colonel. Spider-Man blasts Red Skull's head. Giant Man then crushes his head, while Skull is basking in his victory. Hank says he's starving, and his group really pour it on, and run through the rest of the villains. The group then turn their attention to their prize. Undeterred by Galactus' threats, they rush him and devour the Devourer of Worlds. 5 years after leaving Earth, the residents of Asteroid M have returned. Janet now has a robot body, T'Challa has cybernetic limbs and had a baby with Hendrix. Reynolds says there's no sign of any life or any zombies anywhere on the planet. T'Challa wonders where they could have gone. On another world, a king is putting his child to bed when an advisor enters the room to inform him of some important sensor readings. He tells the king it is as they feared. The Galactus comes. When asked how much time they have, he is told none. The night sky lights up and the Marvel zombies descend on their world. And that is the story of how the Marvel zombies came to be. They first appeared in Ultimate Fantastic Four numbers 21 to 23, but their world had already been ravaged by the virus at that stage. The fallout from that story was told in the first Marvel Zombies miniseries, showing what became of Magneto and the world of Marvel Zombies after their first appearance. After that came the Dead Days one-shot, which gave us a little more insight into how the world became the way it did. But it wouldn't be until the Army of Darkness Marvel Zombies crossover that we saw the start of the plague and learned the origin of this reality. Marvel Zombies Return, which is one of the 5 sequels, gave the true origin of the plague. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.